What's up, everybody? Welcome back to episode 2 of the No Limits podcast. We just got a two-headed monster on today's episode. As always, it's your host, Worlds Francois, joined by Colwyn, aka Aptitude. What's up, brother?
Hey, how's it going? I'm just over here being tall and whatnot.
Yeah, 6'1". It must be nice to be over 6'2". Well, yeah, man, we got a lot of good shit to talk about on this podcast, so let's get it going. So, we want to talk about toxicity of cancel culture. Obviously, we live in a time and age where everything is just so sensitized. People get so sensitive about any little thing, whether it's a harmless joke, a harmless prank, and they're like, oh, you shouldn't have done that. Oh my God, this is bad. This is emotional distress, blah, 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 blah. And then anything that you do you have the little 13, 14 millennials, even Gen Z is more responsible for this. They'll go on the internet, they'll tweet something, and they get a band of their group of people and try to cancel you. And that has a major ripple effect of people losing out on jobs, opportunities, future employment, hell, even, record deals, whatever the case may be. And it's a vast effect. So I want to get your thoughts on this whole cancel culture thing and how toxic it is that it is spewing in not only our age group, but the younger generation coming up as well too.
Oh, the younger generation is a whole heavy hit. But here's the crazy thing, right? As soon as you mentioned the cancel culture and a thing like that, right? The first thing I thought about was what are they trying to cancel people for? How does it affect them? And what are they trying to stop? And it's usually accountability. And every single time they're getting mad about something, it's because they didn't get to do something they wanted to do, and somebody else held them accountable for it and whatnot. Therefore, you're canceled. If somebody says, no more abortions, you're canceled. If somebody says, I can't murder this person who offended my nation, my generation, they're canceled and whatnot. There's a moral code that people who usually get canceled are living up to. The people who are trying to cancel them are falling underneath. Every single time someone says, this person was canceled because, he stood up for gun protection and whatnot. Well, the people who are trying to cancel that gun protection thing are trying to basically let the government run everything. And, what on earth makes you think you could trust the government first things first?
Exactly.
If you're not even getting vegetables in your store, let alone anywhere else, why on earth would you trust the government with your guns? But that being said, the next generation, I feel like they're teaching this thing with accountability and lack thereof. And that's why I think they're super dangerous, because if I'm not accountable for my actions, I can go flip somebody off, and the majority of society says, yeah, no, you're fine, go do it. And ain't nobody gonna hold me accountable. They're just gonna pat me on the back, give me a participation award for being one of the murderers. Participation award, there you go, awesome. That's in itself, that's part of a problem too. But it all stems from lack of accountability, and there's always a spiritual aspect to it, obviously. But it all stems from hey, look, I can do this and get away with it. If you don't let me get away with it, you're the problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. Especially too in nowadays where there was an article I saw, I think earlier today, where a lot of people, it was posted by the Daily Loud on Twitter. They got about 1.2 million followers, and they said that people are upset because Family Guy made a joke about Nipsey Hussle's death. I think it was the son was like, oh look, we're gonna go to a war and we gotta have I don't really know the full context of it, but he mentioned Nipsey Hussle dying, and he was like, he never heard of him, and people got uproar like, how dare you mention a dead black man, all he's done for the black community in Lower London. I'm like, first of all, you people have grown up watching South Park and Family Guy. That joke that Family Guy said was mid compared to other shit that they've said. They talked about race, they talked about rape, sexual assault, sexual allegations. They have said jokes and punchlines 10 times worse than that, and that is the thing that you people want to choose to get up and mad about, to have an uproar about. There have been so much worse things that are going on in today's society. It's like, oh, let's cancel Family Guy. First of all, Family Guy ain't going nowhere. They've been around for 20 plus years. That's not the first time they had an attempt where you have little 12, 11-year-olds who haven't even hit puberty yet, all of a sudden up an arm that they said a mean, harmless little mid joke that hasn't been heard before on the internet. Secondly, with the whole cancel culture, like you said, it's people that are mad because they don't like the word accountability. Accountability is people's biggest kryptonite in today's generation. It's like you do something, you know what you did was wrong, but you don't want to face the repercussions of it. There are consequences both good and bad, and when you do do stupid things, you get stupid prizes. People want to do stupid things but avoid the stupid prizes. It's like it doesn't work like that. Guess what? For example, when you become an adult, you gotta go and work. You gotta pay bills. If you don't pay your bills, you don't pay your mortgage, you don't pay your rent, the consequence is you get your ass evicted. Now you're living on the streets. Now you no longer have a roof on your head. You can't say, well, you know what, even though I got a job, I don't want to pay the bills. I don't want to put food in my stomach. I don't want to go out and do grocery shopping. Let me just have everything for free. And then you're going to bitch and complain. It's like, oh my God, I'm homeless. I have nothing to me. That's part of your responsibility as being an adult. So learn to be fucking accountable, as you said.
That's funny. That's actually part of their fault too. Like, the government's fault is the reason why they get homeless and whatnot. Not the fact that they're not even getting a job.
That's true. I was just wanting to make that connection. Yeah, just like an example. Yeah.
That whole every single company in the entire planet is now hiring, and yet people are sitting there without jobs and whatnot. That's not the company's fault.
It's not.
Sometimes it's the government's fault where they're making sure the dollar is not even worth the fingernails and whatnot. But that being said, people don't want to work because they're lazy. They're just getting more lazy, and then when they blame their laziness on the government, that's where the whole idea of communism comes in and whatnot, where it's the exact opposite of what the country was founded on, the idea that everybody has their own trade and they trade with each other, and money wasn't even part of the actual, for the most part, money wasn't part of the system back in the day, and money becomes the only thing people like even work for, rather than the ability to be able to do something that you could trade somebody else with. Like if I was manufacturing glass, I could hand it off to someone who was manufacturing wood, and he now has something to shape things in his house with, and I now have some wood for my fireplace and whatnot to keep warm and all that stuff. Then all of a sudden AC comes in, and you throw those things out at the water, and it becomes a trade that people get manipulated from by the higher up of that company. And one by one, it went from like ability to do certain things to I'm going to manipulate this entire country. I'm kind of getting off the topic of accountability. But that being said, that's kind of how we ended up where we are, and those two do connect because people don't want to say that people want to only hold the higher ups accountable and whatnot. Like it's only Donald Trump and Elon Musk's fault. But guess what? You still have the opportunity to get your butt into McDonald's and flip some burgers and whatnot. So as long as there's a job available, you're still accountable for not having bread. And that being said,
exactly.
It's silly, but that's what we are today.
But that's the thing though. The social media and internet has given people this false claim that they could just get money from doing anything. You have OnlyFans as a disease. You have people selling drugs. You have everybody think that, oh, I want to be a popular YouTube creator in like a couple weeks, or I'm gonna go blow up on Twitch. No, it takes time, work, and effort to get to that level. They're selling these people all these false dreams and all these falsehoods, and they're going out doing dumb shit. And it's like, where's my money? It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. The stuff doesn't just come to you. Sorry that this is the real world that we live in, but anything that you want is going to take time, effort, and work. Period. I blame social media and the fucking internet. The internet has been one of the greatest inventions, but also one of the worst inventions ever to mankind. It's made people so much stupid that you can't even fathom the clown world that we're living in now in today's society.
Oh yeah, I was actually just studying that earlier today. I was kind of going into detail. Man thinks we've naturally just grown better and evolved and whatnot. But look at how many things people who suck in their phones 48 hours a day can't do versus what your grandma can do or even what your mom and dad can do. Why are you asking Home Depot to fix you up your table and your pipes and whatnot, but yet you know how to do everything on Facebook, Instagram, Snap, and Twitter and whatnot, and you're sitting here mocking your grandma because they don't know how to use these phones as well as you do. But guess what? Your grandma hasn't even thrown out her vacuum that she had in 1955 because she know how to fix it. She don't even need a new sink and nothing like that because she know how to fix it. And what's crazy is people are so conceited. That's literally that's literally one of the things that has to do with accountability. One of them that call evil good and whatnot is what it says in Isaiah 5:20. But here's the thing, right? There's this weird concept where in today we're just gradually getting better and better and better. My social studies teacher in college called it presentism, where we've never been better than we are right now. And it's literally like the exact opposite of what's actually going on, because we're naturally devolving from, I would say, maybe even from the Garden of Eden, that being said. From that to where we are now, people ain't as fit, they're not as smart, they're not as crafty and how to actually survive and whatnot. But all they want to do is puff themselves up and put somebody else down, and that's how accountability actually becomes like a thing of the past. I'm perfect. I could have never done that wrong. I didn't cheat on him. He wasn't loyal to me because he wasn't showing me enough love. Therefore, I'm not accountable for me cheating on him.
That's the good old line. Hey, he didn't make me happy, so that's why I cheated. Cheating is a character flaw. Like that's, if you have no self-control, that's on you.
You didn't invest in the relationship, so you just as accountable as he is for not giving you attention. busy, maybe he was at work, maybe he was making projects. That being said,
Exactly.
not everything is his fault. Like, that's the thing. We always try to blame somebody else.
Yeah, exactly. And this shit is just so fucking stupid. Like I said, man, the internet has just made people so much dumber and idiotic and just so self-absorbed and just so blind to reality. You keep them in this little world, this little bubble that they're living in, thinking that, oh my god, I could do this and that and this and that, and if I see somebody that says something online I don't like, I'm gonna get a whole group of people, I'm gonna try to banish them and cancel them and make sure they don't ever work or have opportunities and everything again because I'm mad that what they said hurt my feelings. Like, shut up.
That's what I've been dealing with. So here's the fun part, right?
Go ahead.
That thing, it goes into forgive me for going here if this is too deep a conversation, but that lack of accountability goes into the false church too, right? Because what I'm saying is, you've heard this phrase before, I guarantee you have. If I cheated on my wife, I had a spirit of lust. If I kill somebody, I have a spirit of anger, the spirit of murder and whatnot. None of that garbage is in the Bible, first of all. But that's the same exact thing that we're doing in the world. You know, the devil made me do it. If I cheated on somebody, the devil made me do it. If you know, if I just robbed a bank, the devil made me do it. That's the same exact thing, bro. That's why ain't nobody ever tell you to. Nobody whispered in your ear, "Hey, let's go, like, you know, shoot up a kid's school and whatnot." The devil did not make you do that. You did it on your own because you had a desire to kill things. Maybe that's the whole love and violence thing and whatnot that there are today. But there is a whole lack of accountability. It is just as spiritual as it is in the normal world. It's like literally just as spiritual because, you know, there's always gonna be some kind of, you know, the weird, you know, Shenron or whatever. That's not a god, but the weird Shenron made you do something. So it's just as much in the spiritual world as it is in the dating world and, you know, the economic and political world. So there's always some kind of lack of accountability.
Yeah, and I'm glad you took it spiritual too, because I've met and I came across people who were very spiritual. They might not be on your level, but they obviously believe in spirituality, God, just like me. And they try to use that spirituality as an excuse for their wrongdoings. It's like, no, just because you are fucking some type of zodiac sign, whether you're a Libra or Scorpio, whatever, does not excuse your shitty behavior. Did not excuse you from doing something so repulsive. Okay, when you were born, what day you came out your mom's vagina doesn't make you who you are. Now, yes, it could contribute to your moods and what you believe in. That's by all means, do that. But what you think in your head is not based on a zodiac sign. It's what you are processing, what you were influenced by the environment. Stop blaming that shit. Oh my god, well, you know, my spirit said to do this and do that. Your spirits don't talk to you. Are you fucking like Randy Orton now? Like, I hear voices in my head, they talk to me. Like, no. Like, what are we talking about? You are accountable. You are in control of your life. Now, yes, along the way, people are bound to make decisions that may not work out. It's life. It's all a part of it. That's normal. But when people keep making the same dumb choices, have a pattern of erratic behavior, stop blaming it on other things. It's you. Just like when you get behind the car and you decide to go 80 and 50 and you get pulled over, you got nobody to blame but you. Nobody told you to go 80 miles. Your spirit didn't say, hey, I want you to go speed now and possibly risk the chance of getting into a car accident. That's your choosing. Nobody else in the car with you doing that. That's you. So it's like, take accountability for the dumb shit that you do. Be like, yo, own it. But now people don't want to own anything, and they just want to put the onus on other people because of, I feel like it's also an insecurity flaw. When people's like, you know what? Even though I fucked up and I did something bad, let me go and try to find somebody else who may have did something equally as bad on my level and try to put all the blame on them. It's like, we still ain't forget the dumb shit that you did, bro. You're not gonna get an example of that.
You know what it is right there? You just reminded me of something, right? It's the drug that keeps people going from bad to worse is validation. And if anybody ever validates what they're doing wrong, they're on their side. And
exactly.
And they pull up with that person. Like, here's the thing, right? Somebody can say the most retarded things on like Facebook or whatever, or in person. But if this person that comes next to them likes it, or 4 or 5 people like it, it doesn't matter what right or wrong is. They just got validated by a bunch of people, by the majority. So
exactly.
It don't matter what the moral code is. Like, it doesn't matter what, you know, is actually right or wrong. You feel in your heart what is right or wrong when you do stupid things. You will know. And like that's literally what his sin is called in the first place. That being said, you don't get right or wrong from how many people agree with you, because guess what? People have agreed to jump off a cliff together, and that's exactly what this is. Like, when people say, "Hey, let's all, like, you know, just bombard anybody who even tries to, you know, cancel abortion and start, you know, throwing crap at their houses," I'm pretty sure this is happening. all
shit.
of a sudden, if 5 people say to do it, it's right in their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Where did they get that? Like, where did they get that from?
They got it from the internet. They got it from the internet, man. They got it from.
Made things good in some ways, and it made things worse in a lot of ways too. Like I see that all the time with the influence that it has like you'll find something from Middle East and Asia would have never happened in 200 years ago, and it ain't always good things that they find in Asia. I'm gonna tell you that much. But they dig up the butt crack of Asia and put it on the front page of the United States and say, hey, look, awesome. And meanwhile, people in Asia we dropped that 500 years ago. That thing's garbage.
Oh shit. Yo, no, that's crazy. But yeah, man, just I don't know, man. I just hate it. This cancel culture. Like I won't be surprised at that if somebody's made a podcast with that name, or that's a television series. They probably have one, and it's just like, like I said, they're just trying to excuse their own bad behavior. Like you mentioned too, like. I'll take it to the relationship route of people not wanting to be held liable for what they do, especially in this isn't being misogynistic or sexist or whatever, but it's for a common fact that women cheat more than men, whether it's more emotional or obviously physical. But you will hear a woman say, well, you know what, the reason why I cheated or I left him because I wasn't happy, blah blah, what I'm doing. Okay, how were you weren't happy? Well, let's see. They'll say the relationship is boring. Okay, how was it boring? There was no excitement. Okay, what do you mean? You need more details. Was he not taking you out? Was he not out there doing dumb stuff, making you look bad? It's like, well, there was just no spice. And I said this, and I made a TikTok videos about this. I said, listen, if you ever encounter a female and she says I get bored easily, that is a huge red flag, and you need to run away from her and do not have any type of communication with her. This is what she means. That is a trauma response, because when a female says I get bored easily, she is so used and comfortable with the toxicity. She loves the toxicity. She loves the constant unnecessary arguments. She loves the cheating. Why do you think girls stayed with toxic guys longer than they should have? And when they finally get a good one, it's like, well, he's boring. How is he boring? It wasn't because he was boring. Because guess what? He wasn't out there making you look dumb. He wasn't out there doing stuff that he shouldn't have been doing. He just went to work like a good person, came back home to you, and gave whatever little time he had to you, to your attention. And the fact that he's not out there, why he not causing this argument? Why not cheating on me? You don't have a baby mom, this and that. It's like, isn't that what you wanted? You say you want this, and when you get it, you don't know how to handle it. Therefore, you go back to stuff that you're comfortable with, which is chaos. And it's like, no, at that point, it's you need help, not the other guy. You need to do some healing first.
You know what that is right there? So that goes right back to the first topic, because here's what the problem with that is, right? When they're in the relationship with the good person and they do something wrong, they have no choice but to look at themselves in the mirror. So when they go back to the thing that traumatized them, they can blame it on the trauma again. And that's literally like man's lack of accountability, or should say humanity, like the lack of accountability and whatnot. Because I'm gonna say this, just as a blank statement, I dealt with a lot of people who had trauma over my dating life and whatnot, and I'm thankful the last one I dated did not have that kind of traumatic experience, but not where you need excitement all the time. But the thing is, anytime you deal with somebody who is sitting there I have this kind of trauma and whatnot for this situation, I have this trauma from that, or I have this traumas. I'm sitting here in the back of my mind thinking, okay, what is it? How is this going to bother my relationship or whatnot? And of course, you go in full fledged and whatnot, and then you find out later on, they just disappear when you're not the most psychopathic person on the universe. You know what that is? That's also a lack of here's the thing: they can commonly blame their family's trauma, whatever experience it is, whatever official trauma it is, and that they will build their entire fort of existence around. And then once accountability, here's the thing: the scriptures say the law is written on their hearts, but every single person knows when they're doing something wrong. Every single human being, you will feel it. So when they try to blame their traumas for this, that's literally saying, okay, this event happened, and I'm going to circle it and say everything I do wrong is coming from that. I cannot do no wrong because I'm blaming on that. And so everybody's got this whole system. Everybody's got a system in their mind. Maybe it's not the actual circular trauma thingy, but everybody's got their whole system where it's maybe I robbed this store and grabbed some things, but it's because I needed my family to have money, and I need my family to have food. So there's always got to be some kind of I'm not going to be accountable for my actions thing until they get arrested and be like, oh crap, wrong. But
jail ain't fun.
The game is over. But that explains a lot of it. Their whole accountability thing. They want something else to blame it on rather than cheating on the man or just leaving him after having a good relationship. Because good relationships are hard to come by, but they're also too hard for people who are dug into their traumas to keep. And your trauma doesn't affect you as much as you think it will if you let it go.
Exactly. Exactly. That's where I feel like therapy and counseling and sessions definitely come into play for stuff like that. Because it's like, it's not my fault that you were treated like shit. Yes, I feel bad, I feel sorry, but when you say you want peace, stability, peace and stability equals boringness, because guess what, you get to wake up every morning, not having to worry about, okay, what is my man doing today? Is he doing something on his phone he's not supposed to be doing? Is he going out there doing something he's not supposed to be doing? You know what your man is doing, what he's doing, and his goals and aspirations. It's like, you ain't got to worry about nothing, but they want to find something to be worried about and talk about, because females live off two things, and that's emotion and stimulation.
Yeah.
And again, not trying to be sexist or whatever, but females mainly make decisions based off emotions, and that's why none of their decisions happen to work out in the long term. And that's why you say females don't make good leaders, because at the time when you say, hey, we got to make a decision that could be life altering, they're going to base it off emotion, not logic. That's why men, we are more logical creatures, because we don't say, yeah, you know what, I'm gonna, no. It's like, hold on, give me a minute. All right, get back to you. Them is like, okay, you know what, this motherfucker hurt me. Fuck, I'm gonna do this, and then possibly fuck up his whole life just because she got hurt in that instance. Yeah.
Yep. I've seen that
Shit.
happen all the time, where they just make an emotional or make an emotional move, and it affects both her and the person who is being affected, like, long term and constantly. So the one doesn't usually survive without the other. Just on that. One
Yeah.
man does not survive without the woman in this world and whatnot, and vice versa. But the concept of here's the thing: with today's women in today's society, the concept is we can survive without males, and like in that society where men are no longer masculine or even male, and like they want to turn men into females because they think female is the dominant existence of humanity, and like that entire concept is, first of all, it's like a poison to your brain.
Mm-hmm.
And every single normal human being who's normal and calm seems like an alien, but like it's also like desocializing in that it forces us even more so to dig our faces into our phones and not even say hi to people when we walk by. Like that's what I see more of it every single day. I'll be passing by people. I'm a friendly dude, everybody knows this, but I walk past people, right, and they're just looking down. There's no phone underneath their hand right now. They're just looking down. I'll be like, hi. I'm like, how you doing? I don't say it as aggressive, but I'd be like, yeah, what's up? And they don't even they either look down further or they start walking faster, or they're like, hey, and I'm just going back down. And like that's what's happening, and there's a multitude of reasons why. And society is just getting more into this and less even trying to say that what's your neighbor's name? Like, like I don't know my neighbor's name. I know a couple of them are, but they over there and they try to greet me. But that's what's happening. And it all devolves. Like people think that we're just evolving to better people, but we can't even talk to the person who knows how to fix tires, so we go to do it for free. I'm sorry, we go to do it for money at discount tire store. Like it's all we're doing is basically putting ourselves further into a trap and putting us at the feet of the government and whatnot. But I don't know. I'm just thinking out of the Bible. I don't know.
No, but that actually kind of get into the next point that we want to talk about, is that's like men's mental health and like the lack of masculinity in today's society, how they're trying to destroy masculinity, and how like feminism is pretty much the main culprit of that. So with men's mental health, it's been obvious that there's been a stigma and stereotype that men are not allowed to talk about their emotions. Men are supposed to be strong, whatever you're going through, shut up, stand up, be a man, do this, and women can say whatever they want to you. Like there's been instances where a man may have felt hurt by a woman and he's trying to express that, but then as he's expressing his hurtfulness that she caused, she will get mad and be like, I can't believe what you said hurt me. So now he has to put his emotions to the side and make sure that she's good, and yet his feelings and his emotions get left to the dust or get buried, because hers comes more important than his in today's world. The whole stereotype, the view of that. So I want to talk about that. And you mentioned lack of masculinity too. This is the thing, and this is why the lack of masculinity and one of the main big figures that comes to mind about that topic is Andrew Tate. Now people want to say he's controversial and this and that. I don't think it's controversial. I think he's speaking facts. They label you controversial when you're trying to expose the truth and you say shit that they don't like to hear, but they know it's real talk. So Tate comes out and said a whole bunch of things, and he said, listen, His main point is for men to be men, to take back your masculinity, to say, men, you are the prize. Women and this whole feminism crap was just a deplored by the government to separate men and women, divide and conquer tactic. And he's trying to instill the guys like, yo, you're a man. Be a man. Don't let no woman or no society, no cultural class, no whatever person tell you that you're not supposed to be a man. That's where the toxic masculinity bullshit comes from. And I'm like, hold on. So you're saying men are not supposed to be providers of the household, protect their women, protect their kids? You think about that, that's bad. Because when you talk about masculinity, here's how I think with masculinity. If you're out with a girl and some dude comes and say something slick to your girl, are you gonna try to defend her? But they say, no, that's bad. That's toxic masculinity because we don't want violence. Don't go and insult that person. But it's like, but that was okay to do a couple years ago. But now you're saying, okay, it's okay for my woman to get disrespected because it's toxic. So say somebody also, if say somebody says something or does something to my kid that came from my body, as a man, as a parent, your job is to defend and protect them. So if they say something disrespectful to my kid, I can't say nothing because that's seen as toxic masculinity. And he said, listen, when you try to shield men from being men and teaching them ways to become that male figure in a household, because you need a two-parent household to raise kids, that's just for a fact. He said you get school shooters, you get prisoners, and you get people who commit crimes. And if you look at the statistics, and I'm going to pull it up right here, out of the many school shooters that we had, guess the majority of them were women, and guess who the majority of them were men. It's kind of not surprising. Since 1982, there was only 3 female school shooters at that time reported. Since then, we have 134 male shooters. Mainly the fact that because, again, the whole toxic masculinity. Oh, men, when he said, yo, you got to learn how to control your emotions. You got to learn how to do this and that. They're trying to take that away. So that 134 is going to continue to keep rising and rising and rising when you're trying to devalue what a man is supposed to learn and supposed to do. So I'm like, and he says, you get school shooters, you get rapists, you get criminalists. And when he said that and other things, all his shit got taken down because this guy's speaking too much. No, he's making make sense, and let's take him off the air. And it's just so stupid. But I want to get your point about that, and I could get deep into that too about this whole gender warfare that they're trying to portray on us, contributing to the toxic masculinity. But what's your thoughts about that, man? Because this whole is literally like an agenda for men to not be men. They want men to be weak, therefore putting women in charge. And then again, not trying to sound sexist or misogynistic, but when women are in charge, they tend to not make the right decision because they make their decisions strictly off emotion and never off logic. And if you have that happen, we're gonna have another World War III, World War IV, World War V.
Off emotions.
Yep.
I was gonna say, so you brought something to my mind, and it literally a scripture came to my mind as soon as I was chapter 1 verse talking about people who are becoming reprobate and not even acknowledging God, calling God for violent affections, or even their women to change that was against nature, aka transsexuality, and likewise also the men leaving the natural uses of women, burning their lust toward one another, with men working that which is unseemly and receiving to themselves recompense of their error, which was meat. And so basically, homosexuality came from the concept of not even caring about each other, not even liking each other. And there's also a scripture, I think in Isaiah, that says, women will be their oppressors and their children shall rule over them. This is talking about a fatherless household, a fatherless society. So what you're seeing today is literally women ruling over people and children oppressing their parents. You ever go to a Walmart and you see how the kid just cries once and the mama just yields, the parents just yield? That's because the children are literally just the rulers and the women are oppressing everybody. You know why the women are oppressing them? Because we got Hillary Clinton, we got, what's her name, the one that's Hispanic, whose name always escapes me, the one who's like, I think the vice president of Joe Biden right now. And we got so many people who are running the businesses right now.
Kamala Harris?
Yeah, there you go. You got so many people who are running businesses and society that aren't women, but the literal biblical definition of a woman was to be a help meet for the man, and the man was able to the one who's going into work, working by the sweat of his face and the sweat of his brow and whatnot. So when we had the men that are sitting at home doing nothing, the women that are at work, obsessing over being at work, they're not happy. Now that one of those people are happy, we were supposed to be the ones who are making the money and making sure that they have everything that they need so that they would be happy at home doing what they got to do with the house and with the kids and whatnot. So every single time they step out of that, they start to chase it more and more because they think that that serotonin, the oxytocin, all those hormones that they're getting from just getting this temporary high or a paycheck and looking at it and whatnot, that's what's feeding it. But they're doing exactly what they weren't originally made to do, and therefore they're continually going to be unhappy. And who are they going to blame on it? They're going to blame either God or each other. They're never going to take accountability. Like in the beginning, they're never going to take accountability for the fact that they're unhappy. But they're going to blame it on God or each other. They're going to blame the males for not doing what they need to do, and the females and whatnot. So feminism literally is it's a veil for something that's actually spiritual and was predicted way before feminism was actually a thing. But feminism led to. There was three things there was the symbols that were absolutely similar. I think it was communism because of the fist, and then feminism, which was also the fist. And I think it was Black Lives Matter, which was also the fist. All three of those things go hand in hand. If you've got a strong Black Lives Matter and you got communism, nothing wrong with actually wanting black rights and whatnot, wanting actual equality. But the actual system of Black Lives Matter and the actual systems behind feminism matched so much with the concept of communism that we don't even we don't even understand how it is. We don't understand how similar those things are. And the fact that they have the exact same fist symbol is not a coincidence. The concept of feminism just say, hey, don't be masculine, don't open the door for me. Here's the thing, right? This is even in my church. I'm in a biblically sound church, right? But even then, you've got people who are shocked that I'm holding the door open for them, and I'm like, why? Isn't this what gentlemen do? And the answer is not today, but at one point they were. That's what my mom told me to do when I was 5. Not even 5. And you got people who are shocked that I'm just doing gentlemanly things. I'm pulling the seat out for the woman, opening the door for them, closing the door for them. That is shocking. That is a shocking thing to do for people because so much in today's society we want women and men to do the exact same things, be the exact same people, and live the exact same way. We want men to be more emotional, which there's nothing wrong with making sure that you actually check your emotions and whatnot and talk about them, get them out of your way. Yeah. They want men to be less masculine, more emotional. Yeah. They want women to be more. They want women to be more masculine and less emotional and not even express themselves. And this is why suicide rates go up the roof. People I don't know his story, but I guarantee you Robin Williams didn't get to actually express himself or live like a man should. And that's why this is it veils beyond the surface level that people think it is to the idea that we're just being we're just disobeying the natural way we were made. Men were made to work, and women were not made to work. They were made to help the marriage and to keep her at home. That's why literally God created them female, not to be fighting the machine and whatnot. The machine they're actually trying to fight is God, but they're not supposed to be fighting the machine or fighting the household and whatnot, because the household brings you peace. I'm not gonna lie. When I came home as a child and my mom and my dad were there, that was peaceful. When it was a divorce there, it was chaos, and the chaos ensued constantly from start to finish. But that's what they want today. They want more divorced households, and they want less children, and they want less God, and that's how those things happen. They start to equal with each other, and then the kid gets out of the picture, and then the God gets out of the picture. It's just these two constantly fighting each other, and the government's helping that. Don't think it's just us. The government is helping them go full on with the idea that it's just a man and a woman, no kids at all. Do not be fruitful and multiply. Just maybe date somebody. Don't marry anybody. Don't ever have a house. They don't want you to have a house. Maybe like a car. Because they'll get you out of here's the thing. They'll get you out of an economically depravity if you're in an actual household and you're supplying for yourself, especially if you got your own food that you're growing.
I don't like that.
That's what the government wants. They want you to stay away from owning your own animals to eat from, owning your own land to live off of, and not being reliant on them, because the more you rely on them, the more they can get you in their hand and do whatever they want you to do. It's wild. But I dug too far into that.
Nah, man, this is the name of the podcast, No Limits. But I wanted to add to that too when you mentioned the word feminism. So like I said, they brought it upon themselves. They said, you know what, we don't need a man for nothing. We could do anything a man can do. You say, you sure about that? You want equal rights? Okay, fine. Here you go. So guess what? That means now when you go on a date, it's your responsibility to pay. You pay. When you want to get picked up, you go pick yourself up, or go Uber yourself to the location, because that's what y'all wanted. We don't expect us to hold the door for you no more. Don't expect us to do it, buy flowers. You said you don't need a man for nothing, and going so far as say you don't even need a man to have kids. You don't need a man to be a father in your kid's life. So that's what, feminism is. Y'all wanted all the responsibilities that a man can do. So here you go. And now all of a sudden y'all don't like it. Like, well, why are men being so sassy? Blah, blah. I was like, no, we doing what y'all wanted. This is equality. A girl will call a guy sassy because he expects the girl to chase after them. That's what feminism though. Y'all want equal rights, equal opportunities, men. Men were the one chasing after girls. Now y'all didn't like that. Y'all said, no, we don't need a man. We can do what y'all do. Okay, fine. We gonna leave y'all alone. Why are men not chasing after us no more? Are they gay? Are they this and that? No, we just don't want to fuck with y'all like that. That's what y'all wanted. That's what y'all you literally said. We don't need a man. So when a man doesn't want to be in your life, oh my God, what's wrong with this guy? He don't like me. He's gay. Like, you asked for this. You created a whole movement based on this. As men, we just acquiesce to the situation around us. We adapt. We don't perish in new situations. We just adapt. And when we adapt to something that they created, they don't like it. It's like, guess. And Kevin Samuels said a perfect thing, and God rest his soul. He said, women would start moving right if their money was on the line, just how it was like men's money is on the line when it comes to dating. Because guess what? If how the investment a man makes into dating in terms of paying for the first date, planning and blah blah, woman can't even do half the shit. So I was like, hey, feminism, you wanted this, you want an equal opportunity, y'all don't want a man, cool. You ask me out, you plan a date, and you pay for it. A woman will be more smarter with her choices in men if her money was involved. If her money was on the line, then she'd be like, all right, I can't keep fucking around. The reason why they don't care is because you got these simps or these suckers out here are just flying girls out left and right, sliding DMs on Instagram, and they're just like, hey, I'll buy you this, I'll buy you that. No, you're not gonna get no type of commitment from her. She's using you when she has like a whole bunch of 20, 35 of the guys in her DM giving her the exact same thing. Now, if the roles were reversed, as they want it to be, hey, you fly me out. When you go out, no, you can pay. I'm not paying for you.
Oh my gosh, that really hit the point that I saw earlier last year. It's this concept, right? That they think that they won because they're sitting there. Like, here's a funny video, right? I think it was my coach that showed me that, maybe not. But I'm watching this video of like a girl who's sitting there who, as she just finished having sex with somebody, and it was like, I think she was sitting there in the robe, like, looking at them as they were getting, like, as they were putting on their jacket and whatnot, and like headed out of the building, and it's like, when you just scored or whatever. And I'm like, first of all, you think you just won a battle over him, and like you think you're the ones who kind of like, I just got this defeat or whatever. No, he's fine with telling him to leave without staying over and whatnot, because the culture is, that you would stay over for the entire night with the girl when they slept, when you guys slept together and whatnot. I like, not that I know anything about that, but the concept was when they had like sex or whatever, she would like stay the whole night, but when they're told to leave, they find it as a sign of disrespect. But on the opposite side, if the male was leaving and he just had sex at her house, that's not an insult. You know why? Because males are they're physical creatures. They wanted that. They wanted that, like that physical connection with the woman and whatnot.
Yep.
Wanted the emotional one. So when she starts to pretend like she wants the physical more than the emotional, she's gonna leave that like a couple days or a couple months later, and feel the pain of having that relation a lot more than the male was. That's just how they are programmed. Now they're both gonna feel it, but she's gonna need that connection again with probably that same person or somebody, and it did not help her to get less deprived of it. And
exactly.
The more they try to like deprogram their concept of spirituality, the more they're gonna actually need it.
Yeah, no, exactly. And going back to your point too, is like men have to start realizing again that they are the prize. Because guess what? You give a woman your last name, she don't give you hers. You have to get down on one knee and propose to a woman. She don't have to do that. You the one that's gonna probably spending the more majority of your money to execute a wedding. She's gonna contribute, but it's not gonna be nowhere near your contributions. Okay, and she's gonna expect you to be at least contribute more than her to the bills when you guys are in a relationship, depending on the job. So she's gonna look to you for everything else. You are the prize, because guess what? For a man has to chase after a woman, invest his money, invest his time, just for what? No. What are you getting out of that? Nowadays, women want men to be traditional, but don't want to be traditional themselves. And it's like, you can't expect to have my time, my resource, and my attention where you can't even go get up and go make me a sandwich in the house or go do this and that when I ask you to. And when I ask you to do something, it's like, no, you ain't my dad, you ain't my father, you can't tell me what to do. Okay, bye, go be by yourself. It's like we have these conversations on TikTok like, oh, why men or women are saying, oh, I'm not gonna go 50-50 with no man. Okay, well, guess what? You would be going 100% by yourself when you live by yourself. Like, we have to stop being idiotic. Paying bills is an adult responsibility. So if you were not living on a man and you were living by yourself, you would be paying 100% of your bills. So what the fuck you have to talk about? Well, if I meet a man, he's got to pay. So now you're not even looking for a partner. You're looking for a father. Isn't your father?
Yeah.
Wasn't your father take care of you financially? So you're not looking for somebody to build with. You're not looking for somebody to have a family with. You looking for a meal ticket. A man is not going to be a meal ticket. He don't want to. No man wants to feel like an ATM. He wants to feel like a partner. So in that case, a man has to start being the prize. Cause guess what? Listen, a man could get any woman pregnant. As long as he's not shooting blanks, he can impregnate 50, 100, 200 girls, any amount that he wants to, as long as he ain't shooting blanks. Women, they're on a biological clock. They have a certain window and when they have to get pregnant. And trust me, women want to have families. You see them on all these talk shows and podcasts. Oh, I can't wait to have a kid. I want a family. I want a big home, blah, blah, blah. Women, again, they cater to two things, as I mentioned: emotion and stimulation, and they love companionship. They'd rather be around people that they care about, that they love. They don't want to be out there working their ass off 40, 50 hours a week. No, they want to leave that to the man. Now, yes, if you want to work, go right ahead and won't want to work and kill in the workforce. Not saying you can't do that. Do that, make your own money. But if they had to choose, they'd rather raise kids, be around people that they love. So therefore, if you want that type of lifestyle, you have to acquiesce certainly to a man's demands. And when you say, well, you know what, I'm gonna no listen to a man, he's not my father. Okay, fine, go be by yourself. And when you're 30 and you can't have no more kids, and you try and look for somebody because you're in a rush to get a relationship, and no man really wants to take you seriously, and then they know these young 25-year-olds, that's your fault. That's your fault. Like Kim Samuel says, that is your fault. Nobody told you to do that. Like, listen, a woman can have her job, have a career. You could be a career woman and kill it at home. But if you only focus on your career and not a partner, not your man, don't be mad when he doesn't want to marry you. Because guess women control access to sex, men control access to marriage. Last time I checked, marriage is more important than sex. Okay, anybody can get sex anytime they want. But marriage is something that's take work time and lasts longer than a 30-second nut. So people got to keep that in mind. Men are the prize. You got to give your last name to somebody, not the other way around. She don't give you her last name, you give her yours. They got to start thinking like that.
You know what's interesting is you mentioned something before about how the women aren't happy unless they usually have kids, and I believe either I just heard that in a YouTube video I watched or at my church this week, but there's a scripture that literally says this in 1 Timothy 2:15. It says, "Notwithstanding, she shall be saved in childbearing if they continue in faith and charity and holiness and sobriety." And there's other scriptures that mention it as well, like how the women get more attacked spiritually than men. Really, going back to the serpent talking to Eve instead of Adam. But that shocked me because that didn't shock me, but the concept is their primary intent was to be familial and not to just go out on their own and do whatever and be like an entity on their own. So the more they become this entity on their own, the more God doesn't condone it. And there's scriptures that say they suffered the Jezebel to teach in their church and whatnot, and they worship this goddess Diana and all that stuff. So the more the women go out on their own, the more they're in rebellion essentially, because their actual intent was to be with somebody and be married. The first thing that they did when the woman was created was marry Adam. And when they go out and do whatever it is they want to do, I'm not saying, hey, look, every single person who's not married is an evil person, but their entire mission and end goal was to ensure that they were helped meet for men and whatnot. So when they're just independent, proud women that independent, proud black women that don't need no man, as we've heard, you could probably put that on the feature, independent, proud black women that don't need no man. When they have that tagline, it's not a trophy, it's a struggle situation, because I know that right here you don't feel as happy as you should, and you're not gonna fix that by going and getting a second job or starting a second company. You're gonna fix that by doing exactly what you were created and intended to do.
Exactly.
And there's loopholes around that in your brain, but there ain't loopholes around it right here. And you can get, like I said before, we can validate it with other people who say, yeah, congratulations, girl, you're doing awesome and whatnot. That's just a hormone, a serotonin or whatever it is for a temporary moment, but you're not feeling as valid in your heart as you do in your eardrums.
Exactly. And going back to, like I said, they are promoting the whole single family household. Did you know that I think 2 years ago in 2021, there was a fucking National Single Parent Day. Last year, March 21st, 2022 was National Single Parents Day. So not only that, they are promoting this type of shit, saying, hey, it's okay to be a single parent struggling struggling. Like, this is how far we have gone, where we are promoting, saying, hey, you know what, you're struggling, we're gonna give you a day to celebrate. That's not okay, especially in the rough economic times that we're in. Like, so you're gonna be a one parent household, which is mainly women or have a single parent. The father's absent, so you gotta go out, work 40, 50, sometimes 60 hours, pick up a extra job just to provide a house, keep a roof over your kid's head. Okay, you're missing out on his or hers birthdays, possibly. You're missing out on his or hers games, recitals, other after school activities, that where that force, that pressure could have been taken off you, that load could have been taken off you if you had a man in your life, you had a solid father, a father figure in that household. But you was like, oh nah, I'm gonna do it myself. And it's like you only putting more stress on you. Like, you see these women, I seen some of these women who are like 25 and they look 45 because of the stress that they got to go to. They're like, yeah, I got to work 2 jobs, almost 80 hours a week. I barely see my kid. Your kid taking care of themselves. And it's like, this is what you want? And I understand, listen, it may not work out when, you pick somebody, you marry them, and, it may not work out. But we're talking about where you can prevent that situation. Marry before you carry. A lot of these girls are willingly getting pregnant before they even have a ring on their finger. And it's like, you haven't even known it's got for a full year, and you let them bust a nut inside you, and now you pregnant, and I was like, oh, we're just gonna, like, you're celebrating. We are celebrating baby fathers and baby mothers. And it's like, oh, listen, men are responsible for wives and women are responsible for co-parenting. Men are responsible for wives, women are responsible for co-parenting. Like I said, it may not work in here and there, but at the end of the day, and there was this one girl, I'm not trying to go blast on names, but there's this one girl, she's like, you know what, if I get pregnant by my man, you know what, I don't really think I need him, because guess what, I got government assistance, I get a rack each week, blah blah blah, and this and that. And I'm like, you don't, so you just looking at him as a sperm donor, so you're gonna be stressed every morning waking up 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning when that kid is crying, needed to get his diaper changed and milk, and then you got to be stressed up getting to work. When you're going to get to work, when you go to work, you're going to have lack of sleep, you're going to be in a bitchy mood, you're going to take that out on your coworkers and possibly your job, and risk losing your job because one day you decide to come in with a bitchy attitude by not having enough sleep, where that load, that pressure could have been taken off you by a father figure, somebody that you decided to have kids with, that's actually gonna be a role model and stay in that kid's life, but you just wanted to have that person at wedlock. And it's like, that's your fault. You wanted to have kids for what? Just for what? That's your fault. And this is the thing, and people need to know this is facts, okay? Kids from single parent families are more likely to face emotional and behavioral health challenges like aggression or engage in high risk behaviors when compared to people being raised by married 2-parent households. As I mentioned before, when you are a single parent, you have to take on the double duties of both the father and the mother. That means working more, that means missing out and missing time with your child. And when your child's not getting the attention that they want, they're going to try to look for somewhere else. Then they could have been involved in gangs, horrible things, not going to class, hanging around with the wrong crowds. And you're like, damn, what happened to my kid? Well, you don't have a 2-parent household structure in them. That is a key factor in raising a good child. You need a male and a female dominant voice to tell them, hey, son or daughter, what you did was wrong. We're going to show you the right ropes. What if you're just being raised by one person, you're going to get the complete opposite view. Steve Harvey said this best: women cannot raise men and men cannot raise women. If you have a daughter, Coldwin, you can't raise your daughter to be a woman. That's a woman's job. Because guess what? I'm a man. I don't have kids. I don't have periods. I don't have menstrual cycles. That's your mother has dealt with that. So she could tell you how to deal with that type of stuff by being or getting the knowledge from her. She could teach you that. I can teach my man, my son, if I have a son in the future, how to be a man. Hey, son, this is how you take care of your health. This is how you drive. This is how you take care of your hair. This is how you wake up in the morning. This is how you budget. This and that nature. I'm not. A woman can't teach a man how to deal with breakups and things of that nature on the male masculine side. You can teach your son how to do with that, but a woman can't teach A man had to do with that. Just how I can't teach, if I have a daughter in the future, I can't teach her, tell her, hey, girl, this is how you get rid of breakups. Because guess what? More women are more emotional than men. So I
Exactly.
cannot think in
It
her
doesn't click like
psyche like a woman.
it doesn't click like that.
Yeah.
And like there's that gap there. Every single person who's a male needs a male representative. The woman needs a female representative. And when you try to take that out and say, okay, here's what I saw, here's what I saw someone else do, or here's what my parents did for me. Sure, you're telling them secondhand perspective, but they're not seeing you walk that out. If you walk that out, you're doing something strange. You're still out there.
Exactly.
So, like, you're doing something strange, and they're gonna see something strange, and that's why we got more transphobic, homophobic people, or transsexual and homosexual people in the first place, is because they're seeing a male have to walk out the female job, and a female have to walk out the male job. Like I was just saying in my head as you were talking about the male and female single parent homes being dominant in today's society, they glorify that on television. A perfect example is one of the most popular TV shows of all time, which is actually one of my favorite shows back in the day, is 2.5 Men. And you got Alan owning the single father raising his child, they're divorced and whatnot. The child sees his probably his son, if he sees his parent, like, one person one side of the week, one person the other side of the week, at some point that representation is going to be deprived. And maybe not even in that situation, but more so in a situation where the dad's completely absentee or the mom's completely absentee. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, there are absentee mothers, and there are mothers that completely just deadbeat, just like we have a society where you think only deadbeats are fathers. No, women do the exact same thing. Y'all want to be equal, take equal accountability.
Exactly.
And the reasoning is, like, here's the thing. The reasoning goes back to the concept of trauma. It goes back to the concept of I'm not going to be accountable for this action, or, this person was made out of, born out of wedlock, born out of rape, whatever the excuse is that they say, I'm not going to raise a child, but I'm not going to be born. You're still accountable for raising that child. You know why? They came out of your flesh and your womb, and you were accountable to God for it. And, so, like, every single time they try to blame somebody else, here comes even more problems with the child. And, they do less things morally for the child to be well. Like, telling them not to run with scissors. All of a sudden, you got thousands of kids running with scissors, running with guns and all that stuff. That was a simple thing that I was taught in my childhood. Did I do things wrong with scissors in my first grade? Yes. That's besides the point. But when you tell the child what to do, what not to do as a child, they have strong representation of what that is in an adult. And you get a bold father, you get a feminine mother, and all of a sudden here's the thing, on men you know what woman to look for by your mother, and in women you know what kind of a man to look for in your father. And if you're in the wrong representation of that, if you're seeing a single mom have to go through bad relationships, you're gonna look for bad relationships as a child, no matter if you're male or female. And it's gonna be toxic to you, and it's gonna ruin your dating life and your future marital life, because you're just looking for that situation rather than a two household situation where they're established as a solid rock. The person who's solid in your household and everything goes crazy is your dad. The person who's going to be there and care for you when things go wrong is your mom.
Exactly.
But they can't just be, I'm going to do both, because you're going to lose your mind in some place.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's just like, we choose who you want to be with, and make that choice make sure you're dead on with that choice. And another statistics I wanted to read out, like, surprisingly too, this is a number of families with single mothers and fathers in the U.S. by race. So there's about, and this is the millions right now. This was back in 2019, so a little bit outdated by 4 years. They're probably going to come up with some new statistics, but in 2019 there are about 6.6 single mothers who are white in the United States. 6.6 million white single mothers. The second behind that is our community, the black people. There are about 4.14 million single African mothers in the U.S. Now, obviously, this might have been changed. Maybe the black people in our community took the lead, but that's very, very telling that white people have more single mothers than black people. But now, obviously, black people make about 14-50% of the population. So I guess if we had the same amount of population as the white people, it will be, if not bigger than that number. But it just goes to show you again, 64% of the African American household is living by a single parent, whether that's a mother or the father. And it's like, that shows we have a huge problem in our society. And even though you saw that number, you really don't see a lot of single, from where, obviously, Long Island, you see it, but it's not as common as our community. It's maybe 1 out of 20 you see single white moms or single white dads, but compared to where you see 2 out of 4 single black moms and single black dads, it's just damn, And again, it's just the whole social media, the internet saying you don't need this, you don't need that. I'm like, okay, and then this is the repercussion that you guys face with doing that. Also, I want to talk about too, where you mentioned again the whole we're in a gender war as we know about now, and this is just so mind-boggling to me. This is another instance of what's wrong with today's society. But now we are getting away from identifying what a man is and what a female is, and now we're just saying, hey, you know what? You can be gender neutral. You can be binary, where you don't have to identify as a gender. You could just be a man or a woman, and such gender and a whole that other bullshit. First of all, again, gender warfare. This is what is dividing society nowadays with this crap. Listen, for anybody who's new and who's just born, a man cannot get pregnant. It is scientifically impossible for a man to carry a baby in his stomach. A man does not have a uterus. That is 100% proven fact by science and by God. Man and woman have two completely different sexual reproductive organs. A man has a penis and a woman has a vagina. You cannot get a man pregnant by shooting sperm inside his body. It's physically possible. Men do not carry eggs. Okay, and the fact that we have this propaganda, this bullshit that we're trying to spew to people, especially the younger generation, the kids nowadays, like, oh no, men can get periods, men can get this and that, men can't do none of that stuff. And there was, and I think there was this guy, I forgot his name, but he's a TikToker, and he goes around debunking the whole queer, cis, binary bullshit. And he's like, okay, tell me what the difference between a man and woman is. And you have these queer people, and they identify as binary and cisgender. Well, there really is no difference between a man and woman. Like, yes, there is. I asked you for a simple question. Yeah, you're not even answering the question. You're trying to divert the topic to try to make your idiotic statement seem valid. And he just said the difference between a man and woman is a man breeds life, a woman carries life. Show me one statistic or fact that a man can carry life. And then she was just stuttering around, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, you know what? I don't think you know what you're talking about. And this is very rude. And this is rude to the females. And then I'm like, okay, here you go. And he just said, okay, you're idiotic. You just proved my point. And next. And it's just like, it's being more pushed now. Like Governor DeSantis Florida. I think he's doing a great job down there, no matter what people think about him. And they don't tell you the full stuff. Again, it's the mainstream media propaganda. They said that he actually blocked a learning. It was like a African American type learning, which they do teach African American history in Florida for people. It's for facts. They teach that type of stuff down there. But he said no. The reason why I blocked this, that they didn't want to tell you this, is because they wanted to talk about queer theory in African American history. Yes, and he said, how the fuck does queer theory have to do with black people's history?
This course on black history, what's one of the lessons about? Queer theory. Now, who would say that an important part of black history is queer theory? That is somebody pushing an agenda on our kids. And so when you look to see they have stuff about intersectionality, abolishing prisons, that's a political agenda. And so that's the wrong side of the line for Florida standards. We believe in teaching kids facts and how to think, but we don't believe they should have an agenda imposed on them.
Now, that's no longer trying to educate. That is trying to push a propaganda, an agenda. There is no historical facts containing about queer theory in black people. And nowadays, they're pushing this shit on everything. I had a training, and I'm not going to name for the company I work for. This is not their fault. This is the New York State's bullshit fault. This is all politics. That we had to do a sexual harassment training. And now we had people talk about, well, I identify as cisgender and I identify as binary, and it's like I'm transgender and this and that. I'm like, we're really learning about this. Is supposed to be sexual harassment. Listen, if you're a transgender, I don't care. Live your true life, being your true self. I got no issue with that. If you're born a woman and you want to turn to a man, go ahead. If you're born a man and want to turn to a woman, go ahead. I don't got no problems with you. But when you're trying to tell people what they should call you as, and you don't want to identify as a certain group that makes you distinct, that is the issue I have, because now you're trying to portray your beliefs and your views on everybody else. Therefore, this is no longer a free environment This is just, no, you should think how I think, or else going back to cancel culture, you should be exiled. It's like, it doesn't work like that, sweetie. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, they're teaching 4th, 5th, 6th graders about queer stuff. There's a campaign that came out a couple years ago with Think. They said men can get periods too. They had an ad.
Yo, I saw that. You know, what the crazy thing is, right? That falls back into the whole chapter of the Romans. But I wondered how far into the podcast I think it's like gotta be about the topic. But if there's a I think it's a religion behind it called Gnosticism, where they're like, where everything is gradually getting better, and God is a demigod, and so it was a wonderful God that helped us get free of this whole thing that was holding us under. It's this idea, right, that from the beginning, Adam and Eve was actually Adam and Steve together before they pulled the rib out. Adam and Steve. It was Adam and Eve was one thing, and so they were both male and female together before God separated and made the male and female separately. That's their idea. That's their concept. And so when they think nowadays Satan said ye shall be as gods, they're trying to be like back at that idea that God was actually male and female. And so that crazy idea is why they're calling God, they, them, the universe, and all that stuff. And it also gets into the fact that they're calling the Holy Spirit she. But I can get into that different episode. But so that concept of male and female is really where they get this idea that, hey, we're gonna be better than everybody. Here's the thing: you're gonna see so much pride in a transsexual person, and you know why? Because they think they're better than everybody else.
Exactly.
They might not say it, but they treat themselves as it. And if you do anything that does not go with their line, you're inadequate, you're canceled, you're evil, you're the devil, you're a bigot, you're all that stuff. And here's the thing, right? I'm not a bigot. I buy my broccoli, I cook my broccoli, I eat it. I don't bother. But the fact that they're calling you this because you don't what is the word? You don't yield and completely just submit to this view it's overbearing, first of all. But second of all, it has a spiritual aspect of the button around the corner. Like there's no way this cannot be a spiritual aspect of them feeling. First of all, they're going so deep into that. Like if you look at the statistics, how many people who jumped the gun from male to female and female to male, and the people who are like homosexual, lesbian, all these things, LGBTQ, whatever, almost like all of them have some sexual trauma in their childhood or their teenhood. And then when I go and ask them, or I should say, look, when I go and say, like, yeah, this is related to your sexual trauma, but they'll say, yeah, I did have some, but, and I'm like, that doesn't let
Yeah, exactly. Soon as somebody say but, they already lose the argument. They lost their point.
Exactly. That's like an amen, but it doesn't work like that, champ. First, it's not a book of the Bible. But they always they always say, no, that doesn't have to do with it. I just identify as this is a male or female. That's great. You're still John, whether you try to tell me you're Leslie or not. Like
exactly.
Like it's still there. Like you might have got rid of some things, but your quads still give you testosterone, and that's the way your body was built. And you still got a jawline. You ain't gonna change that jawline. It's still gonna be there. It's still gonna be a square at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Fix up all that other stuff you want, and it's gonna look really weird. And it's gonna convince a lot of people. But here's the thing, right? I started to learn this is they cannot get rid of that certain aspect that made them a male. And so I could almost detect when there's something wrong with this person's their demeanor and their spirituality and whatnot. If I ever see somebody in person, you'd be like, you could feel something's off about their presence and whatnot. I didn't mean to Harlem shake, but you can feel something off about their presence. And that's the lack of, the lack of peace and happiness inside. Like I was saying before, how the women are in the workplace and the men are in at home or doing whatever it is that they're not usually intended to be doing. Them going all the way into the end of transsexuality is taking it to a super duper next level. And now they're probably I don't know what they do as transsexuals, I'm not gonna lie, but they probably doing both or neither.
Yeah.
Probably not taking care of the home or taking care of the workplace. And it is overall unhappy. I have not seen one person who's actually truly content as a transsexual person. So I pray for them as I pray for anybody else's happiness and whatnot. But when you try to force it on people, then you're like, I'm trying to make you yield to my unhappiness. And I'm like, I'm chilling. Like I said, I eat my broccoli and I'm fine. But you're not forcing that on my family, my friends, me, and my dog does not to be transsexual. The frogs were not actually gay. They try to force it in today's society. They try to teach it in today's schools. Here's the thing too. I also learned that they were not completely innocent and try to indoctrinate people in our schools too. So what I found is you kind of have to do when you learn these things in school is kind of the word I use is undoctrinate. And I've been undoctrinating a lot of things that I learned in school. And that's sad that I have to even say that. I thought it was this generation that was receiving most of the foolishness.
Oh, it's us, yeah.
A lot of craziness. And I'm like, dang, I have to. I like re-examined it. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
that was really valid. Y'all really put this.
Oh yeah, they really taught us some bullshit back then, man.
Yeah, and it's twice as worse now because they're not even like hidden or lying about it. And it all starts from this idea. I don't want to say it started at the concept of like the concept of evolution and Big Bang really made people so proud that they can't even ever say that we ever did anything wrong in our entire lives. And all the religions try to agree on these couple of things together. Is that we're all just evolving and getting better as human beings. And all of, I should say all, like, not including some like the Bible belief Christianity, but there's always, we're just getting better as human beings. And that's where this entirely comes from. Like, the Gnosticism I was mentioning, we're becoming as gods in their eyes. And so the more like as we improve as human beings in their eyes, you can see the results. Are we improving? Is the Amazon River still clean? Is like, are we able to completely pull a tree out from around the corner and eat that fruit and be good for the day? Or are people literally murdering and killing each other, raping each other and all that stuff? Here's the thing. Society only knows that rape is a sin. Everything else is okay. Mm-hmm. Everything else is okay. So when all those things are being done wrong, they're mad, but then the world is still getting better.
Yep.
It's still getting better.
That's tracks. And you know what? And saying that now anybody could just identify as anybody. Well, Colvin, today I have a major announcement. I just identify as a woman. I don't have to have long hair like a woman, even though I do have pretty long hair. I don't have to have a vagina like a woman. I don't have to have a period, the monthly cycle like a woman. I don't have to menstruate. I don't have to have sex with other men to be considered a woman. I'm just a woman. I just decided that I'm a woman. I can now go use. Yep, I can now go use the women's bathroom in public facilities. So I could just go there and just whip my junk out and fling it everywhere. And I should not be arrested because guess what? According to their propaganda, that I just said, hey, I identify as a woman, and that is gender discrimination. So you know what? I want to know how that will go if I did that tomorrow. Say, hey, no, officer, I identify as a woman. Okay, let me see your ID. And my ID on my driver's license says M for male. And they'll be like, well, I thought you said you identify as a woman. Well, according to today's propaganda agenda, that I can just identify as whatever I want. So I am non-binary. So I am a man and woman. So I should be allowed to use this restroom with my penis just hanging out, just slinging everywhere. You should not have a problem with that, officer. Do you know how dumb that sounds? Like what? Like imagine you had a kid. You see a daughter or a little boy, and they go use the bathroom, and you see a dude dressed as a girl goes into the exact same bathroom your little Johnny went to. As a mother, as a father, you would not be okay with that. You'd be extremely uncomfortable. He's like, hold on. You just let them, that's two guys right there. Like, imagine if a little Kelly went into the girls' bathroom and two dudes dressed as a woman went to the exact same bathroom as little Kelly went. You think the mom would be okay with that? You think the father would be okay with that? Just like, hold on, no, excuse me, you what the hell are you doing? Like, you guys are guys. You ain't going to that bathroom, go to the guy's bathroom. No, we're identified as a woman. It's okay. And then I'm like, no, it's not okay. Get the fuck out of here. Like, and especially if they go in, you know what they're gonna do to your daughter, what they do inside there. Like, that's what we're doing. Same thing, vice versa. If you got little Jimmy and he goes use the bathroom, you got two grown ass women dressing like men. You gonna be like, hold on, why are they going to the guy's bathroom? Go, like, my little boy's in there. What the fuck you doing? No, it's okay. I identify as a guy now. What? Like, it's and people are falling for this shit. It's so sad. Oh my lord, the days is crazy.
Like, this statistic is not a coincidence, by the way, but I have seen how many, like, here's the thing, I have seen how many rapes have multiplied since the society became, like, pride, like pro-pride, and pro-homosexuality, all that stuff. It's through the roof. I don't have the statistic on me, but it is, like, it is through the roof. And it's not a coincidence. Like, these rapes are happening from transsexual people, and they are trying to make pedophilia, like all these things, all that stuff to be normal in today's society. And so literally that comes back to the Isaiah 5:20, where it's calling evil good, calling evil good, woe to them that do so. And, they call light darkness. and they call darkness light. So, when someone says, don't touch my kid and don't come near my kid with your transsexuality, you're the monster. The transsexual is a normal person, and that's where we're headed. We're headed to a society where they just want to completely flip everything on its head.
Exactly.
If you want to murder somebody because they're either transsexual or transphobic, both of those people are right, and the person who died was wrong, no matter who it is.
Yep.
And that's the twisted part. Is people are just immoral in every single sense. Like if I literally wanted to throw my food on some human being on the street and just pour some acid on them, I'm fine. That person did no wrong, but you're just sitting there wondering, what did that person do to deserve that? And it's like, didn't you just see me just completely disfigure this person's face?
Exactly.
But, like they're just calling evil good. Like that's what it is. They go to the bathroom and the male and female bathroom. What was this was the story. I'm sorry for mumbling. This was my story. So in 2016. This is now 7 years ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm on FaceTime with one of my friends from TGI Fridays and whatnot. But I call her afterwards. But I'm upstairs on the 4th floor of the Student Union Center, which is where we eat food in MSU. I go up to the 4th floor and I'm walking up there, right? I just walk into the bathroom because I saw the stick figure. It was a male stick figure, right? And then I go inside and 3 girls walk in and go to the bathroom. And I'm just like, one of them was washing their hands, so one of them didn't go to the bathroom. But I'm like, where am I right now? Why am I dealing with this? And it just said bathroom or something like that. It just said bathroom, and these people were upstairs in the library part of the store, or wherever it was that had carpet. And I'm just like, yo, I call her, I think in the bathroom, and I'm like, yo, shh, until we get out. I was like, yo, I think that's like a double bathroom for both males and females. And I'm like, why is that a thing?
Yeah.
Do y'all realize how easily? I looked in the thing and it had the male stick figure and the female stick figure, and I'm like, why is that a thing? And why are they people just suddenly go in there? That opens the door, because people are immoral as human beings. That opens the door to more rapes and outlets. And here's the thing. If that was a family bathroom, why were there students in there? But I don't believe it ever said the word family bathroom in there. But the more they open that door to hey, look, let's all go to the bathroom together because we're all the same thing, y'all not going to see rapes go down. You're going to see them go up.
Exactly.
Multiplicatively. You're crazy for making this the normal thing. And if you want your kid to not get raped, you better put a gun on that child. I'm kidding. You need to make sure that they stay away.
No, for real.
From certain situations.
Yeah.
Pull them away from these things. Maybe you even have to take them out of the public school or whatever, because they're putting this in your ears and up your butt and around the corner. But you do not need to put them in these situations where they're in this before they even know up from down and left from right. Because this is just how society's devolving. And it's not evolving. I'm gonna say it again. Y'all making people get used to being around people who are possessed, get used to all these crazy things, get used to obsessions with evil things and whatnot. That's not evolving. Y'all literally letting meteors come down on America because we're not able to do anything right. They don't understand what right and wrong is in America, and therefore, when something bad happens, we're like, where did this come from? Blame God, blame the men, blame all this. No, blame yourself for getting this bad.
Exactly. No, facts.
But that's the way America's gone. You could tell just now. Look at a picture of Los Angeles now and look at it when we were kids and tell me the difference. There's more homeless people, there's more crazy people, there's more drugged up people, and there's more people raping. Not even, it sounds like I was talking about Las Vegas, right? Nah, Los Angeles. Everybody's favorite city to go to when they go to California and maybe Hollywood is just filled with that. And that's because we're not going upward, we're going downward, and they don't want to address that. But the more this country decides, oh yeah, no, we just make sure that everybody's vaccinated, make sure that people are getting raped more because homosexuality is going right abroad. That is not making this country better. I'm just saying.
Yep. As I'm going to use a line from Trump and make it negative, make America worse again. That's the line that they're trying to do, make America worse again. But I wanted to share another story too pertaining to that. There was a girl that posted on her Instagram story. This was a couple months back, and she's like, oh, nobody should be asking a person what their gender or their sexuality is. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? And she's like, if you're at a party, or at a public event, you should not be asking a person if they're gay, transgender. When I'm like, yes, you have every right to ask that. Yeah, that's every right, especially if you're trying to engage in a serious relationship with them. You have every right to know if that person used to be born a man and transitioned to a woman, or was born a woman and transitioned into a man. And he was like, well, that's just gender discrimination. I said, okay, so next what? So when you decide to have sex with somebody, you should not ask them if they are clean or not. You should not ask them if they have AIDS, STDs, HIV, STIs, nothing. Because guess what? That's sexual discrimination according to your logic. And
Yep.
she's like, and then she never answered because she looks stupid. I'm like, this is the day that we're living in. Like, what the fuck? Now you can't even ask people if they are actually a gender, like, hey, just to make sure, like, you're a guy, right? Just to make sure you're a girl, right? Because look, people can change and transition, and nothing wrong with that. Live your true life, be happy. I'm not judging, but sorry, I don't want to be involved in any transgender behavior. Like, I like straight women. Period.
Oh,
And if you ask somebody, hey, are you a straight woman? No, that's homophobic. That's a queerphobic. That's gender discrimination. That's genderphobic. I said, okay, so you know what? When you meet somebody and want to have sex with you, they're not allowed to disclose their sexual information towards you. They don't have to say if they have AIDS, HIV, SC, none of that, because we're using your same logic against you, and now you don't like it.
You know what's funny is I couldn't stop laughing because I was thinking about the story. I think it was my brother that told me this, I'm not too sure. But they were at like a party, or I don't know where he was, and the girl, there's a girl who came up to him, and he said, from now on, I'm gonna do this standard because he doesn't know male or female. So he's like, I need a birth certificate.
For real.
Logic of letting transsexuality into society. I don't know. When you're trying to meet or date somebody in these situations or in these locations, they're not going to tell you that until you pry the information is very, very like vital or like life or death to them. So they keep that part a secret, but they'll let you know that they're male or female now, or they'll let you know if they're in between now. I don't think you get that, by the way, but I don't think you're supposed to get any. It's also supposed to be confusing. And they're all confused in general, but I'm not in that situations where I can't even understand what their brain is going through. But they're trying to veil that part, so that's why my brother was like, "Hey, you show me your birth certificate," and that made me cackle because I have literally I've known people who are on the other side of the window, whatever you want to call it, but it's been sort of clear, but they're getting better at it.
Yeah.
And that's why I kind of stay out of certain situations. I kind of hold my tongue about things and whatnot. But I ain't trying to harm anybody. I ain't trying to attack anybody's brain. I ain't trying to attack anybody's heart or their feelings or whatnot. There's just things we've done as a society that just isn't healthy for us, and we gotta recognize what that is at least. Because it comes back to the accountability thing once again. Is how far are you gonna let the lack of accountability go before we realize that nobody's perfect. We all fall short of the glory of God. So we're not
Exactly.
To pretend like we are and get swelled up with pride and say I can do no wrong, I don't know about that one, Chief. I just don't know. And a lot of things contribute to that concept of we can do no wrong, but at the end of the day, we did wrong. I mean, like if I threw one snack wrapper on the ground after eating that piece of candy, whatever, I did something wrong. I gotta take accountability for that. I can't say that was the spirit of litter, like we're talking about. That's not the spirit of litter. That's not the spirit of of munchies, crunches, and candy. Nah, that's me slipping up because I don't even care. But yeah, that's how we're headed, and I'm hopeful that we ain't in too much trouble. We don't stay out of trouble.
Well, that's why podcasts like this exist. The No Limits, man. We trying to expose the truth and bring common sense to a world that's no longer thinking commonly. That's what we do. So man, we have talked over for an hour. Jesus, that was a good conversation, man. So we're gonna about wrap it up right here. Catch us on the No Limits podcast on Instagram as well as Twitter, on Rumble and Truth Social. Follow Colwyn at Aptitude on Instagram as well too, and on Twitter he be posting dropping a lot of gems. And there you go. Oh, looks like the phone died. You upside down, brother. But yeah, man, I'm just wrapping it up. Just telling people where to follow you at Aptitude on Instagram and Twitter. Same thing, follow the podcast on Rumble, True Social, Instagram and Twitter at No Limits Pod. And follow me as well to my personal page, Worlds on air on Twitter, Worlds1 on Instagram, and the No Limits podcast as well, Worlds TV and Worlds TV on Rumble and True Social. Yes, we on Rumble and True Social because there's certain things that YouTube won't allow. So that's why we had to got on there, because their censorship propaganda is just as real as this B word that they were pushing on people. So last time signing out, I'm Worlds. That's Colwyn. We will catch you guys next time on No Limits Podcast. Stay tuned, stay informed, and stay out of trouble like we will be. Peace.